I have a question that I've always wondered. When I had to look for the body parts, the 5 pieces of the baby, the first time I knew that was a human being. Like, the scales fell off my eyes, and I was literally in shock. And the abortionist came in to make sure that everything was in the Petri dish, right? This big dish that we had. And he was whistling, and I remember him saying to everybody, "What are we all gonna have for lunch?" When before this abortion, he told me to tell the young woman it was not a baby, it was a sack of tissue. And I remember screaming inside of myself, how can he not see what I'm seeing? And my question is, could you see? Could you see that those were babies?
I can answer that for myself. I cannot speak for any other abortionist in the world. Did I know those were human beings? Absolutely. I didn't care. I did not care.
For me, and I don't know the mechanism, I don't know the mental mechanism taking place, but for me, I guess I knew they were human, but it was very schizophrenic. But my interest was extremely scientific. I didn't see the difference between them and a chick embryo, or a frog that we dissected. I thought they were beautiful. Again, I don't know how this is possible, but I had the same reaction as Abby Johnson, that when I looked, I thought, oh, look at the little toes and look at the little fingers. They're so amazing. But somehow I didn't see them as little people, that were worth caring about. If the mom wanted her baby and she was miscarrying, I was distraught with her. But if she didn't want her baby, then I was willing to dispose of that child, of that baby. And it wasn't till I read an article comparing abortion to the Holocaust that I suddenly realized that I could do these terrible things because I didn't consider them human beings. I didn't see them as human. And I guess more like animals. Although I can't imagine myself being willing to pull off the arms and legs of a little kitten, I probably would have had more sympathy for them. But somehow there's this darkness that clouds your mind, and you can do things that you would never think possible. I thought I was a good person. I also have to apologize. I really thought I was helping women and had no idea the trauma, and the scarring that I left in my wake. All the girls that I did abortions on were young girls, college students, probably some high school students, all for normal pregnancies. None of them were for maternal indications or fetal indications. They were all just normal babies. And I do worry about what happened to those women later, because I know for me, it was very traumatic once I realized what I had done. Once I'd had a baby, how traumatic it was for me. And again, I also went through a post-abortal syndrome. Thankfully, I had people around who could give me the counseling and the healing that I needed to heal. And I also have to admit, unlike you felt more guilty because of your involvement in other people's abortions. I felt more guilty that I could actually kill my own child as opposed to killing other people's children. Not that either is less, but I had more trouble forgiving myself for killing my own child.
We've talked about that process of how you become progressively insensitive, desensitized to you as a human being, and desensitized to the human being that's inside of you that I'm about to kill, as long as you give me the money. But I think I'm also recognizing there's superimposed on that a switch that puts those scales on, the same way I could take glasses off and glasses on. A Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. You see, I can be down the hall and deliver a live baby, be involved with labor and delivery, and it's good old Dr. Robinson, happy and encouraging her to push. Yeah, we call the baby's almost here, and here's the baby, cut the umbilical cord, and everybody's happy. And walk a few feet down the hall, Dr. Jekyll switches to Mr. Hyde, and I kill the baby. Same person, same doctor, but I don't believe they're really the same person spiritually. The enemy has the capability of manifesting himself in you appropriately. And again, I take responsibility for that, but you're actually able to flip a switch almost instantaneously from healer to killer.
Well, I think both doctors and moms do that. It's so easy to talk about somebody else's life, but if I talk to a group, I remind them of something. Today, you're an adult. Once you were a child, you didn't look anything like you look today. Once you were this big, but it was always you. And try to personalize it, because you're right. We can turn it on and turn it off. We learned that in medical school, day one. If I'm doing surgery, hysterectomy, nothing to do with abortion. For that hour, that's a collection of arteries, nerves, veins. Don't cut the ureter, get the uterus out, make sure she doesn't bleed too much. Don't let her get infected. And I know intellectually that she's a mom and a wife and she has family and people that love her. But for that time, that's the job. An abortion is the same.
You know, I never had any regrets about what I was doing or any qualms until I was doing my neonatal rotation. And I realized that I was killing babies the same age as ones I was trying to save. But the training is so effective and you learn to compartmentalize so well that I just was able to shove those thoughts to the back of my mind and I didn't think about it again.